In the month of May, inflation rose 8.6% from a year earlier. Leaving out the volatile food and energy prices of today, inflation still rose 6%. This is the highest increase since December 1981, when Ronald Reagan was president. It's been a long time since inflation has been this bad. What's up, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Politics, where I read 3 current event news articles from media sources left, right, and center, and give my thoughts on them. This is because people today tend to get their news from one media source. It's pretty annoying, and it makes you look stupid. In today's episode, I'll be talking about the current state of inflation and what Joe Biden is doing about it. First up, I have an article from Vox titled, Joe Biden's New Go-To Tool to Fight Inflation, the Deficit. What's up, Mr. Ramaswamy? According to this article, when Joe Biden is asked about the current state of the economy, he likes to point out one thing, that he's reduced the federal deficit. This pivot started at his State of the Union speech earlier this year, where he stated that his plan to fight inflation will lower your costs and lower the deficit. According to a recent poll on the country's most pressing problems, the federal budget was 5th, while inflation was 1st. Biden's language marks a drastic change from 2021 when he backed massive government spending and played down the concerns of inflation that came along with that. But does lowering the deficit even help battle inflation? According to economists, it's not totally clear that cutting back federal spending would help bring down inflation. But economists who spoke to Vox said that the federal deficit matters more in times of high inflation. A senior Biden administration official who spoke with Vox backed up this reasoning by saying that because the government is such a large purchaser, if you lower the deficit by tax increases or less government spending, then you're going to pull some money out of the economy, and that can reduce inflationary pressures. This article also discussed Biden's recently written Wall Street Journal op-ed where he outlined his plan to fight inflation in 3 steps. Lower the deficit, let the Fed do its own work, and make goods more affordable. Next up, I have an article from the AP titled, Biden Vows to Battle Inflation as Prices Keep Climbing. What's up, Mr. Steve Peoples? The recent Labor Department inflation report is the worst reading since December 1981, and a troubling sign for the economy as rate hikes by the Fed have yet to slow inflation. According to this article, Biden has tried to put blame on corporate profits for inflation, naming the shipping firms and oil industry as large reasons, and specifically citing ExxonMobil. Exxon responded to Biden by saying, We have been in regular contact with the administration, informing them of our planned investments to increase production and expand refining capacity in the U.S. The Biden administration has also tried to fix the logjam in our nation's ports that have lowered the supply of goods and raised prices. The Port of Los Angeles moved to round-the-clock operations last October under an agreement that the White House helped to shepherd. On a side note, the House passed a bipartisan bill recently by a vote of 369 to 42 that is aimed at improving ocean shipping oversight in the hopes that this bill will help to curb inflation and ease export backlogs. The war in Ukraine has increased food and oil costs, but housing, airfare, and medical services costs have also risen. Strong consumer demand has consistently outpaced supply, causing prices to rise. In part 2, I'll discuss an article from The Federalist. Leave a comment, I'm always open to a good argument.